election rigger in Nigeria today, openly, is Wike. That is the person whose proxy was being appointed as
that's a weighty allegation.
Electoral commissioner.
That's a weighty allegation. I
said it because he's on video. Now I beg you, stop being politically correct. There are multiple videos and audios of Wike enforcing his political will in Rivers State over and above the sovereign will of the people of that state. Violently too. So this is not, please, I don't do beer parlor talk.
No, because...
So my people, as you can see, Dele Farotimi is not having it with show. You guys know how our journalists used to, twist the truth just to save their own head because of how Nigeria works. So in this particular video, Dele Farotimi really said a lot of things, like deep things that you need to know, especially when it comes to the state of our justice system in Nigeria, like how rotten our judiciary has become, because in Nigeria, the law is only made for the poor. Like for the poor, you have judgment, but for the rich, is impunity. And he talks about his support for Peter Obi come 2027. According to him, he does not believe if there will be any election come 2027, because if there is no reform in our electoral system, then there is no need of election come 2027, because what happened in 2023 will definitely happen again in 2027. And also he responded of what Kenneth Okonkwo said concerning Peter Obi and many more, my people. Like this video worth watching, which I'm going to encourage you to watch it to the end so that you will get all the details in this particular video. But before then, please, if today is your first time here, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. Like this video, share it as well. So let's go ahead and watch the video, my people.
I was reading your book with some kind of trepidation, and I was wondering, it was as if I was reading it in a public space. So I was looking around over my shoulder whether or not anybody could hear me or see what I'm reading, because the fear we have about the Nigerian judiciary, it does look like you're so frustrated, you're so angry. From the very first, in your preface to your introduction, you establish your disgust at some of what you have described as a rot in the Nigerian judiciary. Let me start by asking you, the change that we see in leadership between Justice Kayode Ariwoola and Justice Kekere Ekun, how fundamental do you think this change is?
When you ask with the pedigree of Justice Kekere Ekun, I had to laugh, because it's as if the change of name would suggest a change of, some change of guard, as if some paradigm has shifted simply because we moved from an Ariwoola to a Kekere Ekun. The fact of the matter is that she's a member of the Nigerian judiciary. She's at the apex right now. She was part and parcel of that Supreme Court each and every time that it had failed the Nigerian people in the last decade plus. She was part and parcel of that Supreme Court when it delivered his Lawan judgment, when it delivered his Akpabio's judgment, when it delivered almost all of the disgusting judgments that have issued forth from the Supreme Court. You said you were reading my book with trepidation, and I'm like, okay, Flora Azinge, a justice, I believe, of the Court of Appeal, sitting at the tribunal in Kano. Azinge came out publicly to speak of how she was being induced. Attempts were being made to induce herself and members of her panel. That wasn't Dele Farotimi that said that. That is a veritable member of the judiciary that said that. Bokachua came to the public space to tell all of us within the unholy chambers of the Senate exactly how judicial pronouncements are procured in the bedroom. He was the first to inform us of how the judiciary has been Bokachualized. Supreme Court justices, numbering 14, came out to say that the Supreme Court, the head of the Supreme Court at the time, Tanko Mohammed, the plane driver, was corrupt. They were claiming that 80 billion had been misappropriated in the Supreme Court. These were justices of the Supreme Court that were signing petition, not Dele Farotimi now. So it wasn't something that Dele Farotimi said that led them to do that. When the United States Department of State came out with its 2021 report, and said that our judiciary is a cesspit of corruption. It wasn't Dele Farotimi that said that. He didn't say so. So you have a situation where our judiciary did not become the way it is because Dele said anything. Incidentally, I believe about 2 years ago, when Justice Ariwola was appointed acting CJ, this question you have asked of me tonight was probably a mirror image of the same question Dr. Ruben Abati asked of me about Ariwola and what effect it might have, what changes we might expect from the judiciary. I told him at the time that I didn't expect anything to change. Just as I'm telling you as well, right here and now, that I expect nothing to change. The Nigerian judiciary is the way it is because that is the way the system needs it to be for the system to function.
Mr. Farotimi, there are those who know Justice Kekere and who will refer to Justice Kekere in this manner. They say Justice Kekere is incorruptible and comes with the highest level of integrity. Would you be fair to have referred to Justice Kekere in the manner in which you have referred to her? Our person has been. You've made reference.
Listen, my brother. Persons make up systems, but essentially, this is not about persons. I don't have a personal experience of Justice Kekere, so I cannot speak to a person. But I can speak to the institution that she is heading. And I am saying that the institution she's heading is institutionally incapable of delivering justice because the system has not been set up to deliver justice. I don't know who she is as a person, but I know what she represents. And I am saying that the institution she represents, look, don't listen to me, listen to Ebun Shofunde SAN. Mr. Shofunde was very specific when he said very clearly that the judicial reputation is at an all-time low. That is the head of the body of senior advocates of Nigeria. Not me. I'm even a retired lawyer. I'm not a seasoned lawyer. Don't worry. It actually makes more sense for everybody to believe that I should not be taken seriously since I kukuma come across as a madman. So don't worry about me. Let's listen to the likes of Ebun Shofunde. Let's listen to I forget this justice name, the one that retired from Niger State. In the chambers at his own valedictory service, he was busy indicting the judiciary and excoriating it in the strongest possible term, not something I said. So when I say it, maybe the irreverent manner that I might adopt in delivering the truth without bothering to sugarcoat it might come across as shocking, but I am not saying anything that we all are not aware of. Our judiciary is a reflection of the society that we have managed to build, debased, debauched, completely acculturated to abnormalities. It does not deliver any justice. We are only fooling ourselves. How do you talk about justice in a situation where you spend over 5 years in court, at the High Court, over 5 years before you are even heard? I have cases involving me as a person, personal cases where I had grievances against state agencies and I sued. And I've been in court for like 4 years in one case. My matter has not been heard in 1 day. We've never been called to open our case. And yet, if that is not corrupt, what is more corrupt? Justice delayed is justice denied. Ariwola is still sitting there at his valedictory saying bye-bye and is talking about delaying justice. Who causes it?
Do you think that there is some kind of cultic arrangement within the legal profession that drags the judiciary by the jugular, such that there are some persons within the legal profession that get justice the way they want? Because in some of your explanation, it does look like there is a class of lawyers or the class of persons within the Nigerian legal practice that gets whatever they want in the courtrooms.
The Nigerian judiciary is not different from any other aspect of our society. What you find is that, okay, look at Ariwola, for instance. A man is the Chief Justice of the Federation. He makes his son a judge of the Federal High Court. He makes his daughter-in-law a judge of the Federal Court of Federal Capital Territory. He makes his brother Auditor General, Auditor of the Nigerian Judicial Council. Another family member became a judge of the Court of Appeal. When you have these egregious abuses of the Judicial Code of Conduct, when families, when they have more or less turned judicial appointment into a family inheritance, when it is the girlfriends and wives of politicians that become judges and justices, what you find is a replication of what you have in the police, in the custom, and in every other aspect of our society. So it is not as if there is a special cult in the judiciary or at the bar. No, not necessarily. It's the same Nigerian factor of not holding people responsible for their actions, of a system that is not designed to enforce the rule of law. It is that same system that you are seeing at work in the judiciary. It is just that its effect on the judiciary is by far more ruinous than everywhere else, because the illusion of justice has been eroded. There is no longer any illusion that there is justice. Everybody now knows that you are not going to get justice from. How do you expect to get justice from a court that is constantly doing all kind of somersaults? So it's not about a court somewhere. If there is one, I'm unaware. But I do know that with every other Nigerian thing, when some people have conquered a space as though it were to be a territory, you then find a succession of their children, their friends and assigns being placed in offices, and the person who has appointed you, to a very large extent in a prebendal system, gets to dictate what you do. So we've managed to evolve a judicial system that works to deliver justice to the poor and to the rich and powerful, but only judgment gets to the poor. So the poor will end up in prison, the poor will end up with the heavy end of the stick, but the rich, they get justice delivered faster. If an emir wants to sue now, he will sue and they will deliver judgment within 1 week. That's why you ended up with the madness in Kano. But if a poor man needs justice delivered quickly, he's still in court for the 4 years, like I have been in court for 4 years, and I'm not exactly poverty-ridden, and yet nobody has heard me. So what kind of judicial system have we built? So it's not about persons, it's not about court, it's a reflection of who we are as a society and what we have done to our justice delivery system. It's nothing to do with any court, it's our society.
Coincidentally, there was a matter in court with the former Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun. And it looked to me that this is yet another kind of frustration that you express in this book about the state of our justice system. How sad do you think this scenario for you based on how you express it in the book?
Mike, I had a case. I was being tried before Justice Dada, and whilst I was there, 2 people were equally being tried by the EFCC before Justice Dada. The lady was trying to procure a visa to the United Kingdom, and she was trying to do this using forged documents, and the second accused, our co-accused, was the one who was more or less like the travel agent who provided the forged document. Whilst I was there, whilst my own case was also going on, this pair were convicted and sentenced to prison. It was the same week that they were sentenced to prison that the Kemi Adeosun story was breaking in the Nigerian press. And I was looking at this. In this same society, where somebody who was trying to escape the madness of Nigeria in a desperation, yes, not condoning criminality, in a desperation, she procured forged documents. The system, with the agency of the EFCC, ensured their imprisonment. But Kemi Adeosun, a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, forged their own NYSC paper. What happened to her? Nothing. So for the poor, you have judgment. For the rich, you have impunity. Who has asked Justice Flora Azinge to name the senior advocate of Nigeria that was attempting to bribe her. Up until today, nobody. So it's painful, but the reality is that Nigeria is not blessed with a justice delivery system. There is none. The sooner we all wake up to the reality and just admit to our problem, the better for all of us.
So the question, because in all of this, you've established and you've shown some of the practical, you're not talking about things that you plucked from the root. You're talking about your personal experiences in the Nigerian judiciary, in your own practice. But it does look like a hopeless case for anyone seeking justice in the Nigerian judiciary. How do you think anyone can get justice? What are the hopes? How do we get out of this quagmire? And you have said that it is a societal problem, and it's not only typical of the Nigerian judiciary. There are other sectors. What can we do? And I'm hoping that there will be solutions for us to be able to get the kind of judiciary that we wish for.
We can't wish for anything, and we can't pray our way out of our mess. We can't even fast our way out of this mess. We have to be decisive enough in telling ourselves the truth. We have a problem, and that problem is not just our judiciary. Our problems lies in our mirrors. All we need to do is look in the mirror and we'll see our problem staring right back at us. The problem is not just if it was just the judiciary, we'll be talking about, okay, let's reform the judiciary. But when you are done reforming the judiciary, what are you going to do about our legislative arm? What are you going to do about our executive? What are you going to do about our police? What are you going to do about our customs? What are you going to do about we ourselves, our society? Ghanaians will not people any of our sectors. We are the ones who will still people it, and the question is, what have we done with it? So when you are asking me what the solutions might be, it is the same solution I've prescribed for the judiciary that I will prescribe for the police, that I will prescribe for our educational system. We need a drastic and urgent, radical turnaround. We have to admit to the fact that where we are is not desirable at all. Where we are, let's stop lying to ourselves that the excreta that has covered us is merely mud. It's not mud. It's foul excrete. We need to admit to it first. If we are going to walk away from it, we must admit to the undesirability of our situation. So the only thing that will save Nigeria, whether we like hearing it or not, there has to be a revolution of our minds before we can even talk about a revolution of our systems. But the system itself is what has conditioned all this to be happening, because there are no consequences for bad behavior. If there were consequences for bad behavior, this will not continue. But everybody has come to the knowledge of the fact that anything goes in our country. There is sheer impunity everywhere you turn. The apogee of the impunity that has come to define our lives as Nigerians is when you hear them tell you, go to court. That statement is pregnant. It tells us of the failure of the state that we have built. When people who are flagrantly disobeying the laws and trampling all over the rights of individuals will look you in the eye and tell you, go to court. Before it used to be, go to the station. Now go report me for station. Now it's no longer report me for station. It's go to court. And the most grueling and gruesome statement of the level of impunity that you are able to deploy, even with the instrumentality of our Supreme Court, are decisions such as the one you saw in Lawan, the like you saw in Akpabio, and the one that was done in the case in question in my book here. So it's not about something, it's not like it happened in my, like I described in my book, and it's happening every day across the length and breadth of Nigeria, from the magistrate court. I think the other day a lawyer was busy broadcasting from a magistrate court, I think in Lagos, talking about how the magistrate, the clerk was demanding bribe before perfecting a bail. The thing, see, Stop listening to me. Go out. There is enough out there to tell you how decadent the system has become. It's not about me. It's about the truth. All I am doing, I think the only thing unique about the book I have written is that somebody is talking about their own experiences and they are not doing beer parlor talk and they are putting names and dates and facts and figures. That is the only thing that is different. I have come to paint the details. That thing that the United Nations Office of Drug and Crime are telling you blithely, talking about general. The same thing that Mr. Ebonshofunde, SAN, was talking about when he says judicial reputation is at an all-time low. That Supreme Court judgment have become perfunctory. That is not Dele, that is the venerable Ebonshofunde, SAN. Do you understand? That man is a doyen of our profession.
Mr. Farotimi,
language.
Mr. Farotimi, can we expect any, if Justice Kekereekun decide to take bring out some very major judicial reforms, do you think we can see some kind of changes? And if there is a possibility, what kind of judicial reforms can you see? We've seen a 300% in the rise of pay to judicial officer. Is it a good way to start in reforming the judiciary and ridding it of corruption?
You cannot have a judiciary of saints and angels if you have a country peopled by those who have no respect for the law, for justice, or for equity. It is impossible to have a judiciary that is free of corruption when every other aspect of our society is as debased and corrupt as it is. When there are no consequences for actions, people are going to continue to misbehave. So if we're talking about reforms, the reforms cannot be solely about the judiciary. It's a society-wide thing. But if we are focusing on the judiciary, you have to take a look at the process of appointment. If politicians that we have all universally agreed are largely corrupt and crooked are the ones who are appointing judges, what kind of judges do we expect them to appoint? The judges are bound to be reflective of those who are appointing them. So you need to first of all look at, one, how are you recruiting your legislators? How are you recruiting your executive? Because they are the ones who end up influencing the appointment of judges. How are you doing this? So you cannot retain this decadent system as it is and then be expecting that the judiciary would, by some magic, be different from the rest of the system that has produced it. So, talking about the judiciary, yes, we can talk about it sectorally, but it does not change the fact that it is merely a reflection of the society in which it operates. It is part and parcel of our society.
Let me quickly, let's wrap up this conversation. But your position, politically, of course, I saw what happened with Kenneth Okonkwo, who said he no longer speaks for Peter Obi because he doesn't think that he has the grit and the firmness to be able to handle issues. Are you still with Peter Obi? Do you hold a similar notion, or what do you make of that kind of situation where he thinks what is going on in the Labour Party needed a firm and a very, very strong handling, but he didn't see that that Peter Obi was able to handle that situation the manner in which he did. Are you also disappointed with what is happening in the Labour Party?
Let me say this. What is happening in the Labour Party is, for me, the noise next door. I'm not a member of the Labour Party, and I have labored to make this clear before the election, during the election, and after the election. I have not concerned myself with what is happening in the Labour Party. Kenneth joined the Labour Party, so it was his business what was happening there. It's none of my business, and I've not made it my business. I'm not a politician. I am a citizen of a country that is not yet born, a victim of Nigeria looking to have a better country in the future. Peter Obi is a man that I admire a lot. I don't expect him to dictate what should happen in the Labour Party. When did he join them? The Labour Party is a party. It's not, I believe that if it's a party, to an extent, they would have to find a democratic means of resolving their differences. Peter Obi is not in a position to dictate the terms of their settlement to them, and I don't expect him to. Obviously, Kenneth Okonkwo has a different understanding of what Peter Obi's response should have been. He is a politician, just like Peter Obi is a politician. They are the ones who decide what political tactics works for them as politicians. Me, I'm not a politician. As of today, if there were to be a presidential election, Peter Obi is the person I'll still queue behind, because I believe in his capacity to take Nigeria in a non-violent manner to the revolution that I desire. I wish to see Nigeria turn around, and I don't want to see that happening violently. And I believe that Peter Obi has the mass appeal and the capacity to unite this country behind a vision for a better future. That is the basis. As at today, I don't know what he might do tomorrow that might change my mind. I'm a free agent. It might be that tomorrow he decides to align himself with persons that I do not believe I can work with, people that I believe cannot bring anything good to Nigeria. And on account of that, I might decide, okay, hasta la vista, we can't work together. But as at today, barring any dramatic happenstance, I remain solidly behind Peter Obi, and I will continue to support him into 2027 if he's going to run, and if we have managed to reform our electoral system. Because any election without a reformation of our electoral system, I'm not interested.
I mean, Kenneth Okonkwo went as far as saying, for 2027, Peter Obi, Bola Tinubu, Atiku should move aside.
Like,
or use, or you are of the opinion that 2027, you are of the opinion that 2027, Peter Obi should realign or go back to the ring and see through his hat and run again for president. That's your opinion, and that's your stand, isn't it?
Let me put it this way. Peter Obi did not lose the last election. Peter Obi won the last election. INEC and the judiciary performed their magic. 2027, there will be no election without a reformation of our electoral system. If the electoral system is not reformed to ensure that beavers and electronic transmission from the polling unit becomes compulsory, I would not even bother to participate in that election, because you can be sure that Tinubu was not in power that ran and snatched and grabbed it. Already has the 2027 election result written. A Tinubu that will be busy appointing Wike's man as electoral commissioner, the most violent election rigger in Nigeria today, openly, is Wike. That is the person whose proxy was being appointed as
that's a weighty allegation.
Electoral commissioner.
That's a weighty allegation. I said it
because he's on video. Now I beg she'll stop being politically correct. There are multiple videos and audios of Wike enforcing his political will in Rivers State over and above the sovereign will of the people of that state. Violently too. So this is not, please, I don't do beer parlor talk.
No, because
and when you need to balance things, you can, are you suggesting, okay, let's turn it into an argument. I am saying here, my name remains Dele Farotimi, and I am saying that there are more than enough material online showing Wike violently suppressing the right of the people of Rivers State to elect their chosen representatives. And I am saying that his personal aide, his person, has already been appointed a resident electoral commission since Tinubu came to power. So how can you be talking about a free and fair election in 2027 when it's already a fait accompli that without consequential amendment of the Electoral Act, without a consequential reformation of our judicial system, the same madness that took place in 2023 will repeat itself in 2027. If we do not tell ourselves these basic truths ahead of time, how can we even hope that anything will change? We have to be unapologetic and unrepentant in pushing the truth in their eyes. As I've told you, the truth is both a sword and a shield. I love wielding it as a sword and smashing them on the head with it, and I don't care for their feelings. I don't know how long any one of us is going to live. I'm not going to live my life kowtowing to the opinion, sentiments, or emotions of worthless human beings who have wrecked the life of thousands and millions by their actions and inactions. So we cannot be talking about an election in 2027 in the presence of the multiple madnesses that have remained with us, in the presence of a situation where a corrupt INEC chairman will open his mouth and blithely declare on national TV, go to court. We can't be having that and be talking about an election in 2027. We must at least be honest enough to tell ourselves what is in front of us. If there is going to be an election worthy of his name, I will be out there supporting Peter Obi. If there will be an election, and if we still even have a country, the way Bulaba is going with Nigeria, what do we know that will be left of this country by 2027? What will be left of this country? An emir is being killed in his own domain after ransom war, and we are talking about 2027. An Oba was killed. 2 Obas, for instance, were killed in Ekiti for the other time, and we are still talking about 2027. You practically don't have a functional state again. Somebody is single-handedly, without recourse to any due process, the due process law be damned, the PPP law be damned, single-handedly, without public tender of any sort, be awarding a road at 4 billion naira per kilometer, and you are still talking about a country. Why are we lying to ourselves? We must, even if they will not agree, we must be unapologetic in telling these truths. Whether we would have a country in 2027 is up in the air. Hunger has become a real issue.
So, I mean, the government of the day will say, Mr. Farotimi, that they are making...
Which government? The government that cannot even ensure that we have fuel. Which government? Do you have government? You have exploiters, buccaneers, thieves.
But, I mean,
which government?
The government of the day will say they are making efforts in fixing the problem that they met on the ground. It's still early in the day. They just have about a year.
I'm Chinese too. I'm Chinese and I'm 6'7". Do you believe me? The government of the day has said they are making effort. We see the effort now. They are making effort. They are buying private jet. They are buying yachts. They are spending 21 billion to renovate. They are spending 90-something billion on Hajj. Is that the? And then they are falsely and fraudulently implementing Orosanye report. They are busy privatizing NNPC. We are busy refining in Malta and everywhere. We see the effort they are making. So I'm Chinese too, Sheung, and I'm 6'7". Do you believe me?
So you don't see any good that this government has done since the last 1 year?
Do you see it?
No, I'm asking, because I'm a journalist. I'm asking.
I had no expectation of anything good from this government. Nobody steals power to benefit the people. It does not happen. I do not expect the mercies of a thief who has robbed me. I was not under any illusion whatsoever about this government.
But when you say that the election was stolen, there are those who argue that the elections were fraud. The candidate you're talking about came a distant third. The case went to court, and the first court of first instance went to the Supreme Court, and the court validated the outcome of the election as pronounced by INEC, and that the lawyers were unable to prove that the elections were rigged or fraught with irregularities. How then will you be able to say that the mandate was stolen?
Sure. Let me say something, right? You know, the ICPC was set up by Obasanjo. ICPC said that as of 2018 to 2020, 9.45 billion was paid as bribes to lawyers, by lawyers to judges. I didn't say that. Justice Kayode Esho said judges are becoming billionaires because they are sitting on electoral tribunals. Dele Farotimi didn't say that. If you believe for 1 second that the Nigerian judiciary did justice in the 2023 election cycle, I have dollars to sell to you. Just bring money, let's go and buy chemical. What I will say to you is this, Sheun. Yorubas have a proverb. They say that èèyàn méjì ò kí ń jẹ̀bi irọ́. Two people cannot be equally fooled by a lie. If the person telling the lie is unaware that he is lying, the person being told the lie should know that a lie is being told. At least the person against whom the lie is being told should also be aware that a lie has been told against him. I say it without any equivocation. The Nigerian judiciary, by its multiple somersaults in the last electoral cycle, established beyond any argument the fact of its complicity in the rape of democracy in 2023. People can hold their opinions, and that's the beauty of opinion. Everybody is entitled to one. Even me. You may or may not agree, but I am still entitled to that opinion, and that is my opinion.
Let's wrap up. Where do we go from here to have the kind of country or a nation that will be for the betterment and for the good of all Nigerians? Where do we go from here?
We as a people and as a collective would have to resolve to be better than we have been. We would all have to, as a collective, admit to our part, our fault in what has happened to us as a people. This is not something that is not a sectoral guilt. It's a systemic problem. From the pulpits in the churches and mosques, which stinks to the highest heavens, to the groves, the sacred groves of our land. All the places of religiosity in our country have become temples of iniquity. We need to look at ourselves. Me as a person, you as a person, we as a collective, we need to look at ourselves. It's very easy to point fingers at sectors, but the reality is that there is no part of our country that is free of putrefaction. It's a systemic collapse. If there is anything that would change, if anything would ever change, it would have to be that we as a collective with good leadership decide to try a different pathway. Outside of that, what will happen is that by the time Kekere Ekun is leaving, you will be asking me or someone else again if the new acting CJ would be able to change the system. No single person can change Nigeria. It will take the collective resolving that they are tired of where they are before anything would ever change in our country. It has taken the collective to normalize the madness that we have become acculturated to. And it will take a critical mass, if not a majority, if that madness is going to ever change. That's what I've seen about this.
Mr. Dele Farotimi, retired lawyer, a farmer, and a Nigerian. Thank you so much indeed for your time.
So, my people, that is it. Honestly, Dele Farotimi is not economical with the truth. He always said it as it is. We need more people like him in Nigeria. Even Shehu is afraid the way Dele Farotimi said it. Hey, we all know that he is saying the truth. Even a child in Nigeria knows what Wike did in Rivers State during 2023 election. So, my people, that is it. I hope you guys really enjoy watching. Please, if today is your first time, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, share it as well. Thank you everyone for your support and love. I truly appreciate you all. And I'm going to see you guys in my next one. Goodbye for now.